My beautiful people, we are back for another video. So, recently, I was talking to my mother and I was saying, I need to get back to drinking tea, right? Tea used to be such a consistent practice in my life. It was something that really grounded me and just kept me at bay. Um, I'm a night tea drinker. I don't really like tea during the mornings or in the day. It's more of a nightly thing, a night routine thing. It's just so calming, the pouring of it, the brewing of it, the these slow intentional sips, right? Slow intentional sips like we should be in our lives. Slow and intentional, right? Not slow in the sense of not moving and not having urgency, but slow in the sense of, not rushing things. Not being so quick to try to have everything figured out now. Sometimes we got to take a step back. I was at work today. Shout out to my coworker, Nora. She's amazing. For those who don't know, I work at my alma mater, Lemoyne College, my alma mater university that I play basketball at. So it's a full circle situation that I'm incredibly blessed for. But and I do community engagement for them, and I host a podcast for Lemoyne. So it's really dope. It really intersects with what I do, what I want to do in my personal life. But anyway, she does these weekly newsletters, right? These weekly digests that she crafts up and she emails them out to everybody around the campus. Today was so interesting and it really hit me. And I was like, I gotta bring this up in a video. So we're gonna bring it up now. She brought up a polar bear, right? She used a polar bear as a representation of our lives, right? To create a message. And she was talking about how even in the middle of extreme environments, harsh conditions, the polar bear stays unbothered, intentional, and present. And I just loved that. Right when I read it, I was like, hold on, I gotta sit with this because this right here is huge. And I never put two and two together when it came to polar bears. You see them all the time on like National Geographic or wherever. But I just kind of overlooked them. I never really did an in-depth look into polar bears and how they move and how they operate. But it's so interesting. It's so interesting because a polar bear's environment is loud, it's dangerous, it's unpredictable, yet its movements are slow and deliberate. And this is so real, right? As humans, we tend to mirror our environment. So when things around us are chaotic, right? When things are kind of out of whack, when there's a lot going on, we tend to mirror that internally or how we're showing up in life, right? Life feels like it's rushing. Life feels like it's chaotic. So we start to become a little chaotic. We start to rush. Rather than taking a step back, like the polar bear, and understanding that my environment is not my identity. And this is huge. My environment is not my identity. Just because the environment around me is chaotic does not mean I have to fall susceptible to being chaotic within myself. And that's what we do so often is we give so much of our agency away to the external circumstance, to the external environments, right? And so our life is constantly like this because the world around us is constantly changing, it's constantly evolving, it's constantly shifting and moving. So if your emotional state and how you're showing up is contingent on your external environment, you can see how that can create some roller coaster of feelings or roller coaster emotions, roller coaster experiences. But yeah, it's just huge. And I love that. I just love that analogy. Like learning how to stay at bay internally, no matter what's going on externally, right? This is something that I've really had to learn how to embody in my life. As we grow and as we evolve as humans, we're constantly experiencing and going through different things in life. Some things great and expansive, other things very harsh and tough, right? Just like the polar bear is in a very harsh and unpredictable environment. But I think The trick is learning how to not, like we've said, not allow our external reality, our external circumstances, our external environment to dictate how we're showing up every single day, how we're moving through life, right? We have a choice to stay calm, to stay peaceful, to stay patient through the storm, through the difficulty, through the adversity. We have a choice to do that. And that's very liberating knowing that. And I think a lot of people don't think that they have a choice, right? Because we grow up in this society and we're conditioned to believe that we are slaves and victims to our external environment, our external world. But that is not the case, right? It says the bear isn't controlling the tundra, it's controlling itself within the tundra. That's the real power we often forget we have. Not controlling outcomes, but controlling our internal state of being. Right? We weren't put here to control outcomes and try to control everything in our life, but we absolutely have agency in controlling what's going on internally. We get to dictate how we show up every single day. We get to dictate. We get to dictate how we show up every day. That is a mantra you should just keep repeating to yourself. I get to dictate how I show up today. Not my environment, not the people that I'm going to come in contact with, not my coworkers, not my job, not school, right? Not these responsibilities, whatever it is I got going on. I get to dictate how I show up today. Yes, we are going to have to navigate these things because they're just a part of our life, right? But I get to dictate how I move through them. I get to dictate how I move through the adversity. I get to dictate how I move through the tough season. I get to dictate how I move through that uncomfortable conversation or that, tough interaction with that person. I get to dictate how I move through that. And understand that is where your power lies, in your ability to choose. Your ability to choose. This is lavender tea, by the way. It's so good. And I want to give a huge shout out to one of my favorite creators, Heinz. If you guys don't follow him, please do, because his videos have inspired me since the day I found him. And he helped me tremendously when I was going through some really, really tough times in my life. But he put me on the tea. If you go to his YouTube and see his vibe and just how the aesthetic and the emotion he creates, I mean, it's like, bruh, he'll make you want to drink tea. I'm telling you, he will. He'll make you want to make tea a practice, a consistent practice in your life. But I digress. Another thing I was thinking about is I was reading the book, The Seat of the Soul. I think it's in my bag. I was reading this, The Seat of the Soul. I was reading this yesterday, I want to say. And I'm on the chapter about addiction and taking responsibility. And so one of the things that stuck out to me was this quote. It said, "The work to be done is yours, but assistance is always there for you." And I was like, hold on, let me stop right there. I had to highlight it. So let me stop right there. You know how profound that is, right? You know how profound that is? The work to be done is yours, but assistance is always there to help. What does that mean? That means, right, faith without works is dead. You have to get up and move and do the things that are required of you in order to become the best version of yourself. But understand this. On that path, on that journey, you are absolutely not alone. You have the whole entire universe on your side, helping you, guiding you. And whatever that looks like for you, whatever faith tradition you follow, just know you have someone on your side at all times. So we need to understand the work is on me, but assistance is going to be there the whole time. So yes, it may be tough to take steps in this new direction. Yes, it may be tough to put myself out there and start to try to change certain areas of my life. But let me remind myself, I am not alone. I am not doing this alone. Come on. I'm not doing this alone. And sometimes we can get into that. I remember there's definitely been moments in my journey where I've had to remind myself of that I'm not alone, because sometimes when you're trying to improve yourself and you're going on that journey of personal development, you can get so caught up in that path that you start to think everything is on you, in the sense of it's just you on the path, right? Yes, everything is on you in the sense of you have to take control over the things you have control over, and nobody can change your life but you. But understand, as you're doing that work, as you're putting in those reps and taking those steps, you're being guided, you're being assisted. Synchronicities, coincidences, these things happen along the way. You're like, hold on. Something's going on this path that I'm on that is bigger than what I can see. That's very reassuring. Thank you, God, Creator, divine intelligence. It's a beautiful thing. Most people think personal development means doing everything alone, right? But understand, your responsibility is to show up. Our responsibility is to show up. We have to show up, right? We have to be willing to take that step. But understand, as you take that step, you're not alone. You may be scared. You're not alone. You may have doubt. You are not alone. You may have a lot of questions. You're not alone. You may be navigating some uncertainty. You are not alone. That's another mantra we need to repeat to ourselves. I'm not alone on this journey. I'm okay, right? And like I said, whatever language you want to use, I have God on my side. I have the universe on my side. I have divine intelligence on my side. I have the cosmos on my side. I have Jah on my side. Come on. That's just a very peaceful thing to know. And something I've also learned about assistance, right? Knowing that, or understanding that you're not alone and you're being guided, is the guidance shows up after you start to take steps. A lot of us are sitting and we're waiting for the clarity, we're waiting for the guidance, we're waiting for the assistance before moving. But remember, clarity does not arise before movement. It arises as a byproduct of movement. As you start to move in the direction of your goals, of your dreams, of the best version of you that you have taken time to cultivate and write down, as you start to take steps down that path, clarity will find you along the way. And you're going to start to realize, as you go down that path, I'm being assisted. I'm being guided. I'm not alone. And it's going to give you confidence to keep on moving forward. It's going to give you more faith, right? These things that we're constantly trying to search for, we don't understand that as we start to take steps, they start to develop more. Confidence, faith, trust, right? These things that we know are needed on our journey, they don't just happen by chance. They are things that are developed. And how are they developed? By us taking those steps. I have a dream, I have a goal, I have something that I want to do that scares me. I'm a little nervous to put myself out there. I'm going to take that step graciously, understanding that I'm not alone. And the beautiful thing about it is, as I keep taking it one day at a time, one step at a time, through that journey, I'm also developing my faith. I'm developing more confidence. I'm developing my ability to trust. I'm developing my ability to let go of the things that I don't have control over. It's very profound. Beautiful people. That's very, very, very profound. You are not in this alone. You are not in this alone. That's a prayer, a mantra that I like to start my days with. God, universe, I am open to receive whatever you have for me in whatever way it looks. Use me as a vessel for light, love, and service. Those are the two things I repeat to myself. But that first thing is so important, that first mantra. I am open, right? We have to be open, right? If you're sitting and you're allowing fear to consume you, right? You're getting really anxious about the uncertainty, the unknown, not having clarity. If we just stay stuck in that, we start to become closed. We're not open, right? In order for you to partner with God, in order for you to partner with the universe, right, and gain that assistance, you have to be willing to be open. Being open is a prerequisite to living in faith, to stepping into the things that are for you. If you're not open, how are things going to come into your life? How are you going to be assisted? How are you going to be guided? How are you going to be willing to step into the unknown if you're not open? Right? So we have to learn how to be open. And being open is a process as well. Most of these things that we talk about, they're processes. So don't be so quick to beat yourself down because it doesn't happen like that. No, it's a process. It's a process, right? We first become aware. The first step is awareness. I'm becoming aware that, hey, I'm not really open. I'm not really living my life in an open way, right? I'm very closed off right now. We become aware. Then we set an intention. What's the intention? I want to be more open. Okay. So we've cultivated awareness. We have that new intention. Now we got to start taking those steps, right? We got to start focusing our attention, right? Our attention on things that align with us opening up. So let me start to do some studying. Right? Let me start to sit with myself and figure out, why am I so closed off? Let me start to journal it. Right? Let me start to pray. Let me start to meditate, whatever that looks like for you, right? But let's start to go down that path to be more open, right? Something that helps me to be more open is taking a breath, reminding myself that things are okay. I'm exactly where I need to be. I have this beautiful cup of tea, and I cannot wait to show you guys the new tea cups that are coming in 2 days. But I have this beautiful cup of tea. I'm good. We're good. I'm being guided. We're blessed, right? We're highly favored, all of us. And yeah, we're going to take that into tomorrow. We're going to take that energy. We're going to take that mantra, that intention into tomorrow. How do you want to show up? Are you willing to be open? These are some questions I'm going to leave with you as we close this video.